because I woke up one day at 300 employees and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I don't screw up and these people all lose their jobs.
Welcome to Tip Top Grow Up Your Business with Metronomics. Join me, Shannon Byrne Susko, and Metronomics certified coach, Jed Roberts.
We'll be talking to business thought leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business team coaches who have all taken the journey to grow up their businesses to their tip top.
We'll be sharing strategies, systems, stories on how you can grow your company up at the speed you want.
If you're searching for your path to the tip top and feel your time is running out, then this podcast is for you.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to Tip Top Grow Your Business with Metronomics. This is the podcast where we deep dive into the business systems that help us grow ourselves, our team, our organizations, and of course, our lives. Today with me is Nancy Batterman, and Nancy is a longtime nonprofit CEO. You've been there, done that. You are a executive coach, a Metronomics coach, and the greatest news is you're the author of the Nonprofit Manifesto, which I am so proud of you for actually just saying, yep, I'm going to do this and getting it done. And not only getting it done, but you got it done like right away. A lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to do that and take 3 or 4 years. You did not take 3 or 4 years. From when you said you were going to do it, how long did it take?
Well, so it has been I've talked about a book for about 10 years and had chapters and an outline and everything, and then be part of Metronomics. It was my 3-year highly achievable goal. And then I was at the Dr. Ben Hardy workshop where he challenged us all to move our 3-year highly achievable goal to our annual goal. And that was in May of 2024. And my book came out in June of 2020. 2024. My book came out in June of 25.
I know, that's amazing because I love that you know, lots of people out there talk about writing a book. You did, but you got challenged you put a deadline on it and you did it. And we know within, our lives, the Metronomics framework, all these things, when we put a date to it and we say it out loud and we tell everyone we're going to do it, we actually do it.
Yep.
You do it. So what I love about the energy that you bring to your clients, you bring to the Metronomics coach community, and you just bring is your passion for business, but it's your passion for the nonprofit business and looking at how you can support these organizations in a way that, why not? In a way that you can bring that discipline, that thought process, that framework, and that structure that, whether you're not for profit or for profit, you need. Why? Because there's a team involved. So I love it. I loved it since the first time I've met you, the energy you brought around this. Let's start where you started, because I sort of alluded to that a little bit. Just give us a little bit about your background and why over the last 10 years where you're talking about writing a book, and why? Because a lot of people go, oh, I don't have anything to put in a book, but you definitely do. And your book is fabulous. It's been well received. What's your journey? How'd you get here?
Well, so as you said, I'd worked in the nonprofit sector for over 30 years, and 25 of those was as the CEO. And so I, over time, I had these ideas and I started to write them down. And then I met a Metronomics coach by the name of Mike Morrow, who became my coach. And then, and so I continued my journey as a CEO. And then he one day crazily said, you'd be a great coach. Have you ever thought about coaching? And I laughed at him and I said, Mike, I've been at the same place for 34 years. Have I thought about doing anything else? No. So that, so I took the leap and left the nonprofit that I'd been at for 34 years and started my own coaching business under Mike's Proactive Leadership Group umbrella. And it's been 6 years now, Shannon, that I've been coaching. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Well, I was doing the math on that as you were saying the years. So I was like, wow, that's fantastic. You made huge impact in making that leap. Now, when you think about, bringing everything you've learned as a leader of a not-for-profit and then writing it in your book, and I know it's in your book, but I want you to start off with the biggest lessons you've learned, right? Leading a not-for-profit that you wish you had known when you started.
So two come to mind really quickly. One, this whole idea about, and where it's really the framework of my book, is running your nonprofit and really considering it as a business, because it is a business. It's, the
Absolutely.
nonprofit is a status, but in the nonprofit sector, a lot of CEOs, executive directors really don't think about it as a business. I went back and got my MBA because I woke up one day at 300 employees and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I don't screw up and these people all lose their jobs, plus the 1,000 people that we were serving. That really understanding right away that it's a business and that the best and most successful nonprofits are those that consider themselves and act and do the things that businesses do. So that, and then the other one is the one-page strategic plan. I mean, this is a story I tell all the time. I looked my entire career for a successful strategic planning process. And nonprofits do some crazy things. 35-page documents. It takes 6 months to
Yeah.
produce them. And then you don't look at them until a board member says, hey, what happened to that strategic plan? So the whole
Right.
idea with the one-page plan with the execution as a key component just was a lifesaver for me. And it's really what Mike used as the way to get me to leave, is that if I became a coach, I could share the plan, the one-page
Yeah.
plan, with more nonprofits than when I was a CEO of a nonprofit and just using it. So those
Yeah.
are the two
Love
most
that.
powerful things.
I love that. And I can so relate to the one-page plan, right? To getting it all done on one piece of paper for your board, for yourself, for your team, right? To hold all of us accountable. And the other piece is having been I haven't run a not for profit, but having been on the board of many not for profits, definitely had that experience of, the big, huge strategic plans. It almost killed me being on those not for profits. And I wouldn't stay long unless they started shifting to a little bit more streamlined view of that one page plan. So, how has the journey that you've been on, because you've been on a fabulous journey, and I love that you've shared not only everything you've learned with your clients, but I know in your book that everybody can pick up big, small, and for profit and not for profit, the lessons are there about building a business. So, how has your journey shaped your belief in the importance of structure and systems in leadership?
Wow. So I think over time, I mean, I've really felt the importance of focus. The one area that particularly was in need with the organization I was at was alignment, right? And getting everyone aligned and working in the same direction. We were providing services in 5 counties, and each county was doing their own thing and marching in their own direction. So the piece that really, and goes with Metronomics and the one-page plan, is how it aligns the team to all be moving in the same direction. And then you have your big, hairy, audacious goal as your guiding principle out there. And to keep that in the back of your mind, that's where you're headed. And that has made a huge difference, a huge difference. And so that's, I think, really key to a successful organization of any kind.
And now I love the word alignment because, align team, align plan, align to each other, all those things. When we think about currently, you have a portfolio of clients, You took the time on top of that to write the Nonprofit Manifesto. What when you think of that book, what were the key takeaways you wanted leaders to walk away with when you think about the time you spent in the book, and what are those key takeaways?
So a couple of things we've talked about: the one-page strategic plan, obviously, and to focus on that. The other really powerful thing is the job scorecard. And I think that's really important for nonprofits because it produces, right, the job description and the performance review. So it streamlines and for nonprofits to be effective and efficient is really important. So that's another takeaway. And then, the book is packed full of my lessons learned. I shared all the things that I did wrong, so every nonprofit doesn't have to do that again, right? They don't learn from my mistakes.
Right.
So I think that's a part. And then, there's just so many things. Diversification of funding, I think, is really important. The market map, Metronomics exercise, that's something that most nonprofits don't think about, how they are
No.
related to their field, their arena, of other nonprofits in their geographic location. So all of those things are great takeaways. It's hard to pick a couple.
Now, I figured you'd say that because, you wrote a book about it and there's a lot in there. But you sort of set up my next question, which is, as leaders, we make lots of mistakes. Like we make tons of mistakes and we got to call them out. We've got to, share them. We've got to learn from them and share with others so they don't make those mistakes. What do you consider your, biggest mistakes? Maybe top 2, top 3 if you have. And I know you've written them down in the book, and I know people can go read the book. Please pick up that book. But share them with us here because these are the things that why we're here.
So one of my big mistakes was a fundraising mistake. But fortunately, and I think really the lesson learned is, as a nonprofit CEO, you really need to engage your board and senior leadership team in your decisions. So when I made this really bad decision, I made it with a couple of board members and executive team members. So I wasn't totally responsible, but we had this opportunity to buy from the NFL Alumni Association in San Diego, Harley Davidson motorcycle that was decked out and signed by the Chargers. They had problems with doing a fundraiser with it. So I had a board member who thought it would be great. So we bought it. We paid, oh gosh, I can't even remember, $40,000 or some crazy thing for this bike. And then we were going to raffle off tickets and make money and then give it away. And we sold 100 tickets it took almost 2 years, and we sold only 100 tickets. So it was terrible. So we finally, and I had learned how to pull it behind my vehicle and drive it around to events to market it.
Oh my gosh.
And so finally, we just decided we offered people that we'd refund their money. Some of them let us keep it. Some of them took their money back. And then we actually went to the Jackson Barrett auction and auctioned it off there just to take it off our hands.
Yeah.
So in the end, we lost about $30,000.
Oh, wow.
But it
Wow.
was, like I said, I was glad I hadn't made it all by myself. And
Yeah.
we learned some valuable lessons about fundraising and researching ideas before just thinking they're great ideas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, give me one more. Because it's what we learn from it that's important. Like, if before you give me the second one, how what did you do differently next time? We learned a little bit more about fundraising, but what did you do differently next time?
So next time we did a lot more research and tried to find other people who had done what we were going to do. Sometimes you think a creative idea and doing something for the first time is going to be really good, but we learned that there are proven strategies, and it's better to use those proven strategies than some crazy wild idea, right? Because there's greater risk in those
Yeah.
crazy ideas. So, and it really confirmed, don't make any decision completely by yourself, because then you're ultimately held accountable for that. And so it's a team. An organization is a team. So you really need to make team decisions. So it really
Yeah.
reinforced that.
Yeah. Yeah. How about a second one in your time there?
So I think one of the things that I learned over time is I love challenging problems. I move quickly. I operate quickly. And the
Yeah.
disc, I'm a 99D, right? So really high on the. And
Yeah.
I learned over time I needed to change my style, because I moved way too fast in many cases and didn't bring my team members along with me. And so
Yes.
I, was honest with people. This is who I am, but you need to say, whoa, Nancy, you need to slow down and give us time to catch up.
Right.
And so that was a really important self-awareness lesson. And I think the whole idea of self-awareness is really important for leaders. I'm shocked at how many leaders that I work with don't have that self-awareness. And it's really hard to go big places and be highly successful when you aren't self-aware.
Yeah. And, as a coach, we have to have a high level of self-awareness to start with. And then we are there to coach that CEO and the leaders to bring them along that journey as well, because you did not remain as a CEO for as long as you did without that growth. And I think about myself in my 20s as a CEO, my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, very different versions of
Exactly.
self-awareness.
Yep.
That is for sure. That's for sure. What, when we think about, many people think not-for-profits, nonprofits are completely different from business. And you talked a little bit about that. From your experience, and I love how you said, you went and got an MBA, 300 people in the organization. What are the similarities? What are the similarities between nonprofits and for-profits?
I
Like
think
I'm smiling because I'm anticipating the answer.
Yeah. So everything is similar, right?
Yep.
You have people issues, you have
Yep.
finances, you have financial issues. The issues are the same for both
Strategy.
and nonprofits. There's no difference.
No difference at all. So I love that. Now, in your book, you talk about sort of some of the myths, the mistakes, around nonprofits make. What's one big piece of advice you would give to a CEO, for profit or not for profit, thinking about some of those myths, some of those mistakes? What's
I
the
think
biggest piece of advice?
I think it's really important to remember your people and to focus on your people, but to do that with balance, right? You have to remember you're running a business, and I think nonprofits sometimes feel like, because they feel that there are these reasons or excuses not to hold people accountable. And I think that is really important, that you have to
Yeah.
be a successful organization, and for nonprofits to have a greater impact, you need to hold your team members accountable and expect them to hold their teams accountable. That's what makes a successful organization have outcomes and results.
Yeah, for profit or not for profit. And the
Exactly.
interesting thing is, my experience being on a board of nonprofits, the ones that acted like a business actually, in my opinion, made a bigger impact because they're able to take more of, the funds raised, the donations, whatever they were doing, and give it back to, the purpose they were serving. Right.
Absolutely.
And it's like, pulling that together. I know you see that every day. And I know it's one of the reasons why Mike asked you to become a coach, to share that learning back to nonprofits, all over the US. When we think about Metronomics coaching and the coaching you're doing with organizations, um, what's the biggest thing, that drew you in to coach? Like, for me, it was a little bit of, yes, I got drawn in, because I did want to give back that impact. But I coach 6 clients, right? Give us a little idea about your practice, and then a big idea behind the why.
So, well, obviously, because I worked in the sector for so long, I'm passionate about nonprofits, and I want to see more nonprofits highly successful. Because, like you said, the more successful, the greater the impact they can have, and the greater number of people they can impact. So that's really what that, and then the whole idea of the one-page strategic plan is a key component of helping them to be successful. So yeah, it was just my passion, and it's been so fun because there's just such a wide range of
Yeah.
nonprofits and how they operate and how they do things, that it's been a fun journey, and I love what I'm doing.
Yeah. And you can definitely hear that in your voice. You can definitely see that. And for you to have the passion and commitment to share, the Nonprofit Manifesto is huge. Can you share a story from one of your clients that really helped, shift that leadership team trajectory? Because it's back about people, right? At the end of the day, and thinking about, the organization as a business. Do you have a story you can share?
Sure, absolutely. So the one that comes to mind is a smaller organization, had only two, well, and still only has 2 staff. And they came to me and asked me to do their strategic planning. And it was really important because with only 2 staff, their board members were very, and still are very engaged in the so
Right.
there's like a director of operations and a director of facilities and a director of fundraising, and they really make sure that the work in each of those departments gets done. But they all have great ideas, and they would continually come to the executive director and say, I think we should do this or we should do that. And this poor woman and her staff member were running, all over the
Yeah.
place,
Right.
changing directions all the time. And now it's so exciting. I've worked with them now. This is our 3rd year together.
Wow.
And with the strategic plan, everything is completely outlined. What are the things they're going to do this year? And what are the things they're going to do to get to their 3-year highly achievable goal? And Krista can use the plan to say, hey, is this in our plan? If it's not in
Beautiful.
our plan, we need to write it down, and we'll revisit that idea, that opportunity, when we do our strategic planning the next year. And each year we do that. We bring up that list of ideas and look through them and say, which ones are the ones that are most important for the organization this year? So it's been very exciting to see them grow and be successful. They've started an endowment.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, that a whole idea of alignment has been
Yeah.
powerful for them.
And, that's a great example. Thank you for sharing that, because we see that a lot in nonprofits where the board is bigger than the team, right? In some
Exactly.
cases, right? Yeah. Oh
Yep.
my gosh. So, And I know you work with all size, like all different sizes of organizations from, really large to really small. And I know we were together in a workshop working with one of your larger organizations, and we were bringing strategy and AI together using the three-head framework and bringing AI together. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because a lot of people go, what? Like nonprofit and you're bringing strategy and AI together. Maybe just talk a little bit about that experience.
Sure, absolutely. Actually, it was a client who was at Tip Top and heard
Yeah,
Asha talk about AI, and he was so excited. He was like, "We have to do this. We have to do this." I'm like, "Okay." So, and they're like you said, they're a larger organization, and they do some cutting edge things, which is exciting to see. And so
yeah,
he was very excited to really try to find out the best ways for them to use AI in their organization. So he was bought in from the very beginning. So they are now, they have, of course, they have an AI policy, and they're using AI and answering some of their phones and some of their customer service. They actually decided that they need to hire a director of data to collect, because they collect so much data and aren't really using it, and realized with AI there was so many powerful ways they could be using that
right.
data. So
Love it.
yeah, it's been exciting to see, and it's been a really good example to some of my other nonprofits who are reluctant to even talk about AI, to bring in a
Yeah.
nonprofit example and say, hey,
Yes.
they're doing it, you can do it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter the size. We know that, right? We know that. It's all applicable to the size. And the most solid thing I love about that example is that, in order to apply AI, we need to have a solid strategy, which that organization has, and we can pick off the pieces even as we keep evolving our strategy. And I love that the work you're doing, whether it's large or small, not for profits. Here's a couple quick wrap up questions, and we'll call
Okay.
this Nancy's bold advice.
Oh boy.
Okay, so
All
yeah,
right.
that's one myth about nonprofits you want to bust right now.
So I think the really important one is no money, no mission. My mentor talked about that about to me all the time. You have to be financially viable to implement your mission. So you've got to manage your finances, watch them closely, diversify your funding. But if you want to have a successful mission, you need money, and money is not a bad thing, nor is the word profit.
Okay, I love that. That was bold. That's bold advice. No money, no mission. Perfect. What's one leadership practice you think every CEO should do weekly?
Ooh, weekly? Um, well, I would say they should be doing, and this is daily, the daily huddle.
Yeah.
When we did the daily huddle in my organization, it took us months to get people to buy in. And in fact, Mike finally said, you know what? We're gonna do this. And if you don't, you can leave. There's no one saying you have to stay here, but this is the practice we're gonna do. And actually, I have had little pushback from my clients, that quick check in every day. What's your top priority? So
Yeah.
everybody's thinking about
So
their top priority. The daily huddle is a powerful, powerful activity that every team should be doing.
yeah, love it. If you could put one idea from the Nonprofit Manifesto on a billboard for every leader to see, what would it say?
I think it would be treat your nonprofit like a for profit business, and then dollar signs all the way around it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Amazing. Let me ask you one more question. Where can people find more information about the Nonprofit Manifesto, yourself, your coaching practice? Give us where we should go to find more about Nancy's coaching practice and great thought leadership.
All right. So you can obviously find the book on Amazon, the Nonprofit Manifesto. And there's also a website, and it has the in it, the nonprofitmanifesto.com. You can find
Perfect.
other resources. You can also reach out to me. And then I'm on LinkedIn as Nancy Batterman. And so those are the best ways to find me and the easiest ways to find me.
Nice. Love it. So if you're a CEO or a leader, whether in nonprofit or profit business, go and pick up this book. It's focused, it's got great practical experience, and it's got a great framework. Nancy, I just want to thank you for being here and sharing all your practical experience, because that's how we learn, by sharing mistakes and overcoming them and making sure, people don't make the same mistakes we do. That's why we're coaches.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share all about the book and to talk about nonprofits. It's fun and it's exciting. Now there's a handful of nonprofit coaches at Metronome. I'm really excited about that.
Well, I think you've been the driver behind that. So if you are a nonprofit business, check us out. It's a great framework. If you're a for-profit business, check us out. It's been fabulous having you here. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. I look forward to the next time we see you. Till next time, see you later.